Hello and welcome back. This is our final lesson and it's going to be over errors. Like everything else in JavaScript, errors are their own unique little thing, different from any other programming language, so we're going to look at that real quick. So we have our debugger at the very first statement, and the first thing to note is that we can create an error using the new keyword, but just creating a new error doesn't actually do anything. So even though this is going to pass and x is going to be equal to a type of error, it's not actually going to do anything. To do something with an error, you actually have to throw it, but that is an interesting quirk because you can actually throw anything. So right here, I can just go down to the console and say throw, oh no, and that actually throws an error called an uncaught oh no. But the downside to trying to just throw anything is that now, instead of knowing that we have an error right here, it's just going to be a string. So that's not particularly useful to us. Now, another way we can do it is that we can throw a new error inside of a function. And if we do this, then we're going to expect that this error thrower will indeed throw an error, and that's going to pass because it's true. And this is typically what you're going to use it for. You're going to throw an error if some particular error condition occurs. Now we're going to look at the try catch block. So the try is if anything you know is going to throw an error, you're going to catch that. The ignore keyword here isn't necessary, but that just tells other programmers that, hey, we don't actually plan on doing anything with this particular error. We're just going to let it pass. The finally block will always execute. So whether or not there was an error, finally will always run. So that runs, and then we're getting our res result to be 1. We have another try catch block. Notice this one's empty, and we're going to set res equal to 2 inside of that one, and it jumps right down and executes it. So be aware that finally will always run. So if you're going to use that, it's always going to do something. Lastly, this can have some very weird unintended side effects. So if I jump now down to the next part, in the try catch block, the finally returns a value, and return will exit any function that calls it. So the return of 1 is always unreachable. So here, I pass in 2, that's what gets returned, and so that's what the result is, even though you might be expecting 1 as your result. So that covers the few things you need to know about errors. You create them with the new keyword, you catch them if you expect anything to happen with them. If you use a finally block, that will always execute, and that wraps up this lesson.